Hello, everybody. This is Veronica from Human Design Journey, and we're here with Peter Berv from America, Colorado. Hi, Peter.
Mhm. Hello, hello.
Nice to have you finally on my
Yeah, grateful
channel.
for the invitation. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, actually, I was really impressed by your manifesting generator lecture during the Human Design Ray Festival.
Mm.
And actually, the previous year, you had the plant medicine lecture, the
Mhm.
shamanic talk. So,
Mhm.
and I really resonate somehow to your also to your artistic nature. And I thought, whoa, that's a nice person to present to the world or to my followers at least.
Thank
So
you.
that's why I invited you. And yeah, just for chat. And people can also feel and hear maybe we have something interesting to say.
I'm never short of good stories, that's for sure.
And you're also a human design teacher, but when did you meet human design and what caught your attention, or did human design meet you?
hmm
What happened
Yeah,
there?
I first saw some charts in 2009. Um, I was in my first marriage. Uh, my ex was bringing some charts home. We had actually a reflector friend um, who kind of turned her onto it. And I would see these charts and I'd say, what is this? Who threw all this together? You can't just combine all these systems. And I was kind of at a point in my life where I was feeling a little jaded about some spiritual things, uh, having been kicked out of a community, and it was Saturn return 3-5, peak, and then eventually in the next year in 2010, um, I ended up getting a reading with Tom Pfeiffer, who was Ra's sound man for several years. He lived with Ra, traveled with Ra. So I went and got a foundation reading from him, and then we got a partnership analysis to help us understand why our relationship. I was with an emotional manifester, and I'm a sacral MG, so put a lot of context into why things weren't working out at the time. Um, so that was my intro. So once I got that foundation reading, I was blown away. I mean, Tom had to kick me out of his house after 5 hours because I couldn't stop asking questions. I couldn't believe, it turned the skepticism into, it got me fully on board. And so I love working with people who are skeptical now because I love giving that same experience and helping them out. So yeah, 2010 was my intro. And then I just kept going from there. I just went straight into all the foundation courses and then went straight to my analyst training and then kept going, got my all the teaching certifications for all the foundation classes, and then to to teach people to do the be an LYD guide trainer and a family analyst and all these things. So that's kind of been what I've focused on more is the foundations in family and relationships. That's kind of what I've been in one-on-one. I really like. I'm a 59 son in intimacy, so I really like one-on-one connections. That's where the magic really comes out for me.
Yeah. Actually, I also met human design in 2010. Not for the first time, but this is when I also had my reading and embarked on this journey.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
And what did you do before human design?
Oh well. I've had a body work practice since 1998. So I've been doing massage for almost 30 years. But a few years before that, I was a monk for a few years. I renounced everything. I was living in India. I was living in a ashram in Colorado. Um, I took vows. I was wearing robes. I was doing the full deal, teaching meditation classes and transformational programs and and then yeah, here I am, 59 son. I ended up kind of breaking my vows and getting with one of the nuns and getting kicked out of the community and that's when that was the Saturn return. That was when my life kind of took a 180 and just when I thought I'd figured everything out, um, kind of, next thing I knew, there I was with a house and a mortgage and a weed whacker and uh, very human stuff, and yeah, I wouldn't have had it any other way, really. So yeah, I did that, and um, before that, I did a lot of world traveling. I would basically, when I was more in my early 20s and single, I was, I'd work for a little bit, backpack and travel the world, come back, work and save up money, travel again. So that's why I feel like I'm able to just ground out now because I got all that out of my system in my earlier years.
Yeah, I was actually talking to a friend recently, and that's what we were discussing, that she has colleagues now that want to hit the parties, and she lives in Germany and go to all these strange clubs and stuff, and they share like we didn't feel like we were really living till now, we don't they're very strict in Germany to do the career thing and the family thing, and now they're finally back in their teenage years, so to say. And she was like, I'm so glad we had a wild youth. So now I'm not so interested in that anymore. And
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
the
it's the
part.
the the sex, drugs, and rock and roll have kind of turned into you know, tantra, medicine, and sound baths.
Yeah, we finally think, okay, this body, uh, if it's to stay longer, you have to take care of it.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
So is this what is lighting your days right now? Can you tell me more about this medicine, plant medicine you're using, and the shamanic journey?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I mean, I kind of got into studying different shamanic traditions, but at a pretty young age. Probably like 16 or something like that. I ended up uh, I just had a lot of spiritual inclinations as a teenager. Ended up being introduced to someone who was identified as a shaman, and this was before this kind of got really popular in the culture. So I wasn't really comparing it to anything. So I started apprenticing with her, and and yeah, going on my own journey of exploring different shamanic practices, and not just all medicine, but just different ways of yeah, surfing the darkness and surfing different worlds within and without. And then in my early 20s, I kind of came across ayahuasca. It kind of changed my life. It really opened things up for me, a lot of healing and insights. And then let's see, um, about 10 years ago, I had an experience where uh, basically a bunch of medicine came to me, a bunch of ayahuasca. I kind of um, helped a community put up some money for them to help make some medicine, and then everything fell apart and some drama happened. And then so someone was like, all right, well, here's your, a few gallons of medicine that you paid for.
Mhm.
So here I'm going, oh my gosh, like what do I do with this? And so I took about a year, and I I prayed and asked and waited. I waited to respond. And I kept on getting a yes. And when I wait a little more, and I still got a yes. And so I just started really small, just leading my own little private ceremonies with one-on-one, and then two, then three, then just worked really small with it. And so that's been the main medicine and ceremonial stuff I've been working with. And so all the things I'd been doing before really supported that. Like I said, I lived in this ashram and did these like transformational programs for up to 500 people sometimes. I've been a musician my whole life, and mostly teaching myself different um, percussion, piano, guitar, lots of different things. And so, yeah, there's this little ceremonial container just really helps me bring out all my gifts. And then working with people, the human design, for like actually working with people for like a transformational framework. uh it's not, I don't like to just do the one and done kind of thing. It's like, let's do a reading, let's work together, let's do some consults, let's work on your deconditioning process, and then use the medicine work to support that. And so, and that's kind of what I've been talking about in some of these lectures, which is they're very complementary, because the medicine work, you can't, it shows you right in front of you. It shows you what's in your subconscious, what you might be holding on to. So you kind of really have to look at that. You can't hide from yourself. And then the human design just gives a really, as concrete framework to work with all that. So I just feel they're very complementary. And now I'm starting to incorporate some other medicines that I'm doing some trauma informed trainings on, and really excited to work with 5-MeO with or Bufo, and serve that medicine, and also the combo, which is a amazing immune reset, nervous system reset from a frog from the Amazon. So these are all just you know gifts from the plant, from Mother Earth, and although the 5-MeO, I do work with a synthetic molecule, but um, is to not for sustainability, and to protect the animals, but the toads. So yeah, it's these are all just natural gifts. Sometimes San Pedro, which is a cactus, it's very, to me, it's a very joyful and much more lighter medicine than ayahuasca, which can be a little heavy sometimes. So yeah, being a 59, people love to just, or people feel I'm a aura breaker. People just feel very comfortable, telling me their life story and all that they've been through, and the grocery store checkout line in the first 5 minutes I meet them. So somehow I'm built for it, and uh, it's I think a lot of people, like I've been doing this for 10 years, with the human design as an analyst and the medicine work, and I feel great. I think a lot of people they get burnt out. Same with the body work. A lot of people, I can deal with people's trauma, but I don't take it on. It's just kind of, you know, I don't know, whatever it is in my design, it just kind of, I don't take it on. So somehow I feel like I'm built for it and sustain this work.
While you were saying
Yeah.
this, I was thinking, wow, the Don Juan of the human design world, Castaneda, you know.
Don Pedro.
Don Pedro, yeah. But uh human design, I was like so in love when I met human design, but then I realized it lays down the mechanic, but you still have to do the inner work. And I myself use other modalities to do that. So yeah, I mean,
Hmm.
sometimes it's enough, just human design, but a lot of times, as you say, you just need to work to do the inner work, and yeah, that's quite interesting with the medicines, with the natural, what every grass on earth is given to us, um, in a way. Yeah,
Yeah.
actually, also that's what human design says about plants, that they um, maybe not happily, but they're ready to sacrifice themselves for other
Hmm.
living beings. So
Yeah. They've that design of plants has that hanging 15. It's ready to fix to our fixed rhythms, something like that.
yeah,
But yeah, we're here to be together. I mean, I being in nature is the best. I mean, the this all the design of plants has that splenic center. So it just you just feel healthy. They just make you feel, yeah, survive, healthy, empowered, self-love, all the gates of the design of plants, the 34, the 10, the 57, 20, they're like little manifesting generators.
yeah. And actually, I was so happy to see that in design, you can look at the design of plants, and that it's provable that they also have they also have personality crystals, like every cell, because I was always seeing nature as something alive. And um, not many people see nature like that. You have to have the eyes to feel it, like to feel the magic there. So yeah, it's quite interesting.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Human design, it is really, I think it is really great to, you know, coordinate with other modalities. It goes really well with other modalities. It's yes, I think it can be a complete system in itself. And whatever you add it on to, it's just going to enhance it. It's it just brings out the best in everything else when because you're just working with the mechanical essence of anything else. So I think it's great to combine it with other healing modalities or ideologies or practices. I think it's very complementary, and I love
yeah,
seeing when they cross over. When the uh, different teachings or histories cross over, with human design or something and something else. They confirm each other.
yeah, yeah. No, but also sometimes we get so like stuck in mm, models, or I don't know how to call them, things which are in the body. And yes, human design can give you the explanation, but you need something to kind of you mentioned that you were doing trauma response. Maybe you can tell us something more about it. But it's stored in the body, and you need to do something. It's very popular right now also, um, to work with therapists, embodying and how to translate this in English? Mm, yeah, to work directly. It's not enough to just go to a psychologist.
Fanatic.
Aha, exactly. Yeah. But maybe you can tell us some more about it to really release and go to a different level.
Yeah, it's well, I mean, the the I think what I was maybe saying was the like some of the trainings I was doing, they're trauma informed training. So this trauma informed is a very general term. It's not something specific. It's just knowing um, how to be sensitive and aware of everyone's coming from a different place. We're all, we're here, we're built to be conditioned, we're designed to be conditioned. And so and a lot of these things just get stored in our nervous system.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
so learning how to, get it beyond the mind, it's and the mind is very tricky. The mind can convince us that we've, maybe worked through something, but then if it's still in the nervous system, it's still there. So, you know, there's plenty of people who say human design is enough just to bring awareness, and if you do the work. But I really think that, bring it down to that somatic level, and it really helps. So I
Actually,
don't have
this
a
was the word I was looking for, psychosomatic practices. This is so popular right now, also with psychologists.
mm-hmm. Yeah, we store it in our nervous system, and our nervous system is kind of like the information highway in our bodies. It connects the immune system, it connects the hormones, it connects it's real. That's why the solar plexus, being the authority of the body graph or of the planet, really, it just says that this it really all that's the authority. It all comes down to that, really. Whether and that's why, whether you're emotionally defined or not. I'm not emotionally defined. It's you still have to work things through your nervous system. Yeah, I don't have a lot of specific terminology or practices around it. It's just very simply, yeah, we store the trauma, and it starts in those first 7 years of our life. And um, so I'm really someone who likes, in terms of my work with human design, I I do tend to stay a little more on the surface. I really feel like people go too deep, too quick. They're really enticed by the substructure stuff. I mean, nothing wrong with that. Maybe it's correct for some people, not for me to say. But it's like and yet there's this still, gaping open center right in front of you, guiding your, still guiding your decisions. And so it, we don't trust the simple. And I think I really like to bring it back to the simple, because there's so much right there, and then you just follow that track, and then you can get into the deeper stuff. But um, yeah, that's where I really feel like it's looking into the open centers. There's just so much rich, work or therapy or whatever you want to call it, to be done there.
Yeah, and also because I work a lot through before I met human design, with martial arts and with dancing and alchemical Dao. So what I always noticed were how oh, sorry about that. um, how people are not connected to their body. Like we put our energy so much into thinking and into um, dealing with the world, with all the problems of the world, and the energy so much in the head. So, like when women come to me for dancing, like my first job is to bring the energy down to the body. And after I met human design, it like made so much sense to me. Uh, and I'm also generator, so that connection to my sacral, I always felt it there. I always felt things in my body and in my stomach, and it's so interesting for me when I ask somebody, well, where do you feel that? And they're like, I don't know. Like totally no connection to the body. Where is it in your body? I don't know. So yeah, human design really
Mhm.
made a lot of sense with that. But actually, because you mentioned something about conditioning, and I thought maybe we could discuss that because in the human design world, and especially for the novices, it's considered something really bad to conditioning, but actually conditioning is where you meet life, where you meet the other, and there is correct conditioning, right?
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and just those first few years, you kind of have to work through what's not yours. A lot of when you look at the open centers, you've taken on a lot of what's not yours. And so, yeah, there's sort of a layer you have to get through. But you know, there's nothing wrong with conditioning. It's like, you can enjoy your conditioning. You can enjoy your openness. You can enjoy where you're here to be sensitive to the other and um, sensitive to the outside world where you take things in. You just learn to have the right relationship with it. Um, yeah, it doesn't have to be so black and white. This whole true self and not self. I really liked. I think it was Marianne Winiger. I think she said something about the not self. She just calls it note to self.
Yeah.
Hey, just pay attention. See it for what it is. And so, you know, we're we're here to be ourselves and we're here to interact. It's not one or the other. We don't have it doesn't have to be a black and white thing. There's um yeah, it makes us who we are. It really is uh, I mean, in this when you study human design, openness kind of falls under a greater category of definition because even though it's where you're not defined, there's defined and where you're not defined. It's a juxtaposition. So it's all part of you. You just have to see where you take things in. Um, yeah, and you want to refine the question anymore, or
Actually, I wanted to ask you um, about the shadow side of us. And, people talk so much about being enlightened and, um, but we are duality. And what's your take on that? Do we accept our shadow, or do we love our shadow, or we try to get away from our shadow? And what is the shadow for you?
mm-hmm. Just what's coming to me right now is that it's the mind. It's the mind which says this is good, this is bad, this is right, this is wrong, and so we end up creating this like pendulum. I mean, I used to be like this. I used to have this experience where it was like I've got to be, I've polarized. I've got to do all the right things. Um, and then I'll be enlightened. And so, and then when that other side of me would come out, I would be ashamed of it, or when I try so hard to like love and light, love and light, love and light, and then naturally you just crash. So, what human design I feel teaches us is it's the middle way. Just be in the middle way. It's you're going to go this way, you're going to go that way, and just enjoy it all. And when you start labeling it as good and bad, because there's some shame there or something, human design is like, stop trying so hard. Stop trying so hard to fix yourself and to, you know, fake it till you make it. There's nothing to fake. So I think I can see how some of the things that I used to think of as my shadow side, they don't bother me anymore. I'm not afraid. I don't see them even as a shadow. I mean, for instance, you know, once again, I'm a 59. I'm a 59-3. Trial and error intimacy. You think that's got me into trouble in the past? Maybe. Um, like I said, I got kicked out of a spiritual community because I, know, got with one of the nuns. So it's like, um, but now it's like I just see it for what it is. I'm just, as a third line, you're here to learn wisdom over time. People focus so much on the trial and error and the messiness and the breaking bonds, and I'm pushing 50 here in a year or two, and so it's like, um, learn wisdom. I've learned how to enjoy and appreciate that side of myself without screwing my life up or hurting other people. So I can just see it for what it is. I mean, it's all mechanics. So um I think when we don't understand it, we judge it and we turn it in upon ourselves. That's what a lot of people do, is they turn the anger, they turn the shame, they turn the misunderstanding, they turn the problem. If you don't understand your openness, you think it's a problem. And so a lot of times, what comes out of my mouth all the time is it's not a problem. It doesn't have to be a problem. So when we take the blame, shame, fault, problem out of things, you can just, you know, it's all okay. We're not here to be like, we were chatting before we hit record. We're not here to be friends with everybody. We're not here to please everybody. We're not, you know, I mean, I still believe in kindness. That's definitely something that is important to me, but um, kindness and not hurting other people. But I don't need to please everybody or maintain a certain image or hold myself to an image, or when you start to decode, let's say, the rave mandala, you start to see that it is all a game. It's kind of, I mean, I'm just getting there, okay? um, you know, we have these roles. We have roles that we play, and as much as we think we're beyond these roles, these are deeply, deeply encoded into our genetics over millennia. And so, you know, this has kind of been up for me this week. I'm actually doing studying the polarities in the class that I'm doing right now, and you know, we were looking at the Godhead Thoth. The four gates, the seven, the four, the 29, the 59. It's this, just as an example. We have these, and that's my That's my Godhead. Or I don't even like to use the word Godhead so much. It's just that's this like conditioned programming. We've got to play these roles. You've got to be, um, this is what a good man does. This is what a good father does. This is what a good husband does. And as much as we like to think we're beyond some of that, if I don't get my wife flowers on Valentine's Day, or, it's like, as much as we like to think we're beyond some of these things, it's deeply encoded into our genetics and our ultimately like our nervous system too. So um, when you can see the game, play the game, not identify with the game, not let it bog you down or feel like a problem or a pressure. I mean, it is a pressure, but you can just have the right relationship to it. So if that made any sense.
Oh yeah, I love what you're saying because also it resonates so much to me. Like before I got into human design, I was in the corporate sphere, and I always had this tendency to be over serious and super responsible person. And then you forget to play. And I love that about life being a game because it is. So I love this perspective of the movie that we talk about in human design, like to see the movie for what it really is. And also what really caught me in my attention in human design was the no morals. Like
Mhm.
this really was actually maybe one of the keys which unlocked the lock of my heart towards this system because I was so tired of the moral things, exactly what you were mentioning, and being in this square and having to be the good wife, the good mother, and the good manager of people.
Mhm.
And so I kind of I could say it happened when I met human design, but actually the more time it passes, I feel like I'm going back in kindergarten. Like more and more, I feel more pure. Like I want to play. I just want to play this life game. And whatever happens, happens. And now, especially with the world going completely bonkers and everything that's happening around, it's it feels so joyful in a way for me, personally, at least, to just not take things too seriously. Like my first university education is international relations, so I was like so much into politics and this and that, and now watching the news, and you can go like, oh my God, the world is collapsing on us, and any moment we can die from an atomic bomb. Actually, what is your take on the geopolitical situation and the whole craziness and madness going on around us?
Yeah. Well, I think the place that I'm at today is kind of like, I guess, kind of like I was saying, it's like you can, well, I've been going through almost a struggle with it in myself because there's part of me which sees everything from that human design, global shift, tribal breakdown, leaving the cross of planning. I see it all. You see all the players, you see it all happening. And so um from a distance, it's like, yep, we're right on track. Awesome. We're creating a new, well, awesome, whatever you want to call it. We're creating a new world. There's a new world that is obviously emerging. I'm a sleeping phoenix, so I feel like I'm here for this transition to support people through this transition and to help you know embody and create a new world. And what's really been racking my brain is that I still get really triggered by, what I see in the news, in the world, the corruption, the, you know, I get sucked in. I get frustrated, angry, whatever about it. And so today, I'm at a place where I feel like it's okay to for both of those to have those experiences at the same time, to see the bigger picture, know there's a much greater thing at play that's been happening not just now, but this is all a program. This whole thing in a way has been pre-programmed. I mean, we can look back and see that everything about, well, at least this mutation that's coming is part of this human evolution. We're moving into spirit awareness. The solar plexus is going through this quantum leap. And so, according to the revelation of human design, it's basically been predicted, or it's part of the program that was supposed to happen already. So we're right on track. So it's a joke to think we're in control. It's a joke to think that, almost to even take it seriously in that sense. And yet, when I see people being hurt and it's in all the corruption, I think it's okay to have an opinion about it. It's okay to be compassionate about it, and you can have those same things at the same time, because, you know, I sort of been thinking about it with this experience I had of getting hit by lightning.
What? Really?
Yeah, this happened to me in I was 23. I got hit by lightning, had a near death experience, and before that, I I I was like a lightning chaser. I thought lightning was super cool, electricity was super cool. You know, we can tend to to romanticize things. So, like, getting hit by lightning must be so cool. I'll tell
Yeah.
you what, it's not. Fucking hurt. I had a head surgery, plenty of hospital bills, turned my life upside down. And it was also the greatest thing that happened to me, too. Um, but my analogy, or with that, is that you can have both things at the same time. You know, you can, well, it's not one or the other. People can romanticize this 2027 shift. Oh, it's going to be so great, whatever, all the things are becoming more transparent, and the, corruption is being revealed, and you can have that experience and have compassion for, we're all going to be affected by it, uh, I can, all the prices are going up here and everything, it's no one is going to be untouched by this. So we can appreciate the, you know the bigger picture of it, and the beauty of it, and the new world that is coming inside of it. And we can also grieve. Grieve and feel and have compassion, and because I feel like I see a lot of people feeling like they've got to kind of be like, pick a side.
Yeah.
you know where it's all okay, don't worry about these dictators doing all this, they're just the players. And it's like, fuck that, this guy's
Yeah.
an asshole,
Yeah.
you know killing people, and whatever. Not won't name any names here, but that's, so I think it's okay to see the bigger picture, and also, here I am, I'm alive in this time, I'm conditioned. This is part of me. I recognize that it is my conditioning. I grew up in a very liberal, uh diverse, life, and so, the values has certain values. So when I see those things being threatened, you know, yeah, it's in my body, it's wired into me. So it's like it's thank God for human design to or whatever you want to call it. Thank the program for human design. It's don't take it too seriously, the God thing. It's just um yeah, it's all it can all coexist at once and all be okay. So that's how I feel about it.
Great. Yeah. On one hand, indeed, there is the doom feeling, 2027 is coming, everything's crashing down, collapsing, and all these comfortable lives that we have or had, yeah, or had before the pandemic, especially. That's all gone. And yet, uh, I really love uh, how some people look at the shift, indeed, that, as you said, maybe romanticizing about it. But I love that because maybe it's because I'm romantic myself. But yeah, it has it's a duality. It's both. It can be good and bad at the same time. It can be painful and we're kind of losing the stability under our uh, feet. What happens if the internet disappears, for instance, or electricity? There was like three countries had of electricity failure through the nationwide, Spain, France, and Portugal. And people were really like, whoa, we're so fragile in the civilization is so fragile. You just take the electricity out or one of the satellites out, and then what happens? Like nothing works. Um, so, I have my mountain house with where I can go back to basics and cook on fire and everything, but I still enjoy the civilization as well. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm enjoying the shit out of it while I can,
Yeah,
because
exactly. That's my feeling too. Like, I have this
I'm gonna eat.
teenager daughter, and because we have this amazingly stupid educational system in our country, like really from communist times, and it has not been updated, and everybody's so serious about it. And at some point, I'm like, oh dear, just have fun because we don't know until how long it's gonna go, you know.
Yeah, that's my joke is, I'm just gonna keep on eating some buffalo wings and while I can, because they won't be accessible anymore.
Well, but saying that, it will also take like a lot of time, probably like 100 years before this new energy completely settles in, and we are carrying within us this cross of planning. So it's not gonna happen from one day to the other. Although when the pandemic happened, I was like, whoa, is this how it's gonna happen? It really, I think, shocked all of us, even those who were prepared in the human design world, because nobody was expecting. Although Ra had a lot of talks about the bird flu, and he did, his hunch did predict a little bit more or less how it's gonna happen. But yeah,
Hmm. You know, something I've been thinking about with all this is you can only prepare so much, because
yeah,
like, I've got a piece of land up in the mountains, and you know it's easy to think, oh, that'll just, like you said, I'll just go there, live off the land, and but 2 years ago, right after, or a few years ago, right after I bought the land, there was a huge forest fire. We have all these forest wildfires here in Colorado and the States, and every summer, and I had to evacuate. I was thinking, oh, you think you're preparing, for all this, and then next thing you know, it's the heart of the disaster. It's like you can think move to Canada and think you're getting out, and then Canada becomes the 51st state. It's like all you can do is just, you can't figure this out with your mind. So um yeah. And some of us might need to be in urban areas, during this time. Who knows? Who knows how it's all going to play out? Is it going to be slow? Is it going to be a rapid thing? Well, some ways, probably a little bit of both.
Yeah. But we're all designed to be born in these times, so being part of the program we're
Yeah,
in the matrix.
it really is exciting in a way, and if I can use that word, just because, yeah, I was born for this. I really I'm fine with this world collapsing, the structures collapsing, but not that it's going to be easy or feel good, or, you know, I still have children in, the educational system. What's going to happen? It's like, so it is very mixed experience that we're all going to be touched by it. And so, um, yeah,
There's no
but
escape.
yeah. But all the, used to have dreams of these things coming, and it's all coming to pass. We're in it now. It's all the things that we said were coming, they're here. It's all happening. So um yeah.
Actually,
Safety
Mhm.
third. Third line mantra, safety third.
Actually, this is exactly what I was gonna ask you because you mentioned that about the third line, this trial and error thing and bonds made and broken. Actually, how do you experience burning the bridge? Do you burn bridges behind you or not so much anymore?
Ooh, good question. Ooh, this has been one of the harder things in my experiment, for sure. Because well, I don't really like to burn bridges. um I maybe that, as a 3-5, there's a certain maybe impracticality to it, um that can bite you back, or it can enhance that heretic projection. you know I've experimented with different ways of breaking bonds, because, yeah, everything has its cycle. Everything, we're not here to be friends with everybody forever. We're not here to have 3,000 friends that are, all the time. We change, we evolve, whatever. But I've tried to kind of, like, tiptoe out of relationships, and that didn't go so well. Usually that doesn't go well, because people are like, what are you doing? What's up? Why aren't you communicating? So I think, um, it's an experiment. Sometimes I kind of slip out the back door and hope no one notices. Sometimes I'm very upfront. Sometimes it's a little messy. But what I can say is that for a third line, when I need a break, and when a third line can't get that break, it's hard, because why does a third line need a break? What no, it's like we need this freedom to be ourselves. We need a freedom to experiment freely without someone, leaning over, looking over you, going, well, what are you doing now? I know you're probably gonna screw it up, or oh yeah, you're doing another one of your thing, and we know how it all usually ends. So we need to just be away from that, to experiment freely and make mistakes without you know, the familiarity of everyone who thinks they know you so well. And so when we can't make that break, it can be hard. Like I'm in a I've been co-parenting for 15 years. And it's coming to a close soon in one way, but man, it's hard to get a divorce, but then you still deal with that person every day or every week or whatever. That's hard to not be able to break that bond, and it's like it feels heavy. So um I am still experimenting with it. I just had something happen. I don't know. I just had another hard experience. As a 3-5, every now and then people just really misinterpret things and really put that heretic projection on you. And I don't know. I don't need to get into this story, but someone didn't like that I tried to break the bond, and they kind of jumped on me, and I basically was like, fuck off. And talk about the morality part. In the past, I would have been like, tried to namaste my way through things. And now I'm just like, you know what? I don't care what they think. I don't need to be friends. I don't need to explain myself. I don't need to be understood. I don't need to be liked. It's okay. So I don't have a specific answer, but because it changes with different relationships, and how the other is able to respect that or interpret it, or um, but it's always more helpful if someone's, well, I was going to say, on their human design journey, so they at least might recognize, oh, this is a fifth line, maybe I'm projecting something onto them. Or but even then, that's all mental, because I've been disappointed. I've projected onto other 3-5s. Um, but my wife is a 3-5, and we love making the bond, breaking the bond. This is a little different than your question, but um, again, it's not, my point is, it's not about the breaking, because you just need a little space. Give me a little space, and then I'll come back with with joy and freshness. And but when people feel like they've got to like hold you by a tight grip, you're not going to bring out the best in anybody. So
Actually, while I was listening to you, and I was thinking, I don't really know how the fifth line plays out in the 3-5 life. Like you mentioned projections and stuff. For me, it's very different because it's conscious. So I can really see those projections. But with you, it's in the body. Like, how does it play out in your life? You also have the 59th gate, which obviously will be in which line is it? In the third line? If your son is there.
my fifth line is in my on my 3420. So I'm a 20. My design sun earth is the 2034 25 34 5. So um the 20.5 is called realism, and the 34.5 is called annihilation.
Uh-huh.
um so that's what I get a lot, I think, with the 34/5, is basically like um not everybody, but in some of my more close personal relationships, people, like, they're like afraid of me. I don't feel like this comes out in my online personality very much. um but like they don't want to fuck with me because they're afraid that I'm
The
going to just be
close
so
people.
intense. Yeah, because my voice, I'm a manifesting generator. Like, my voice can get really intense, and it's unconscious. So um my voice can just it's a manifesting channel. It can be like a punch to the face. And so Um, that's one way it plays out in my life. Um, but on the other hand, and probably more of what I experience is yeah, people look up to me in some way. They see some kind of practical, seductive quality, and I'm a dude. I'm a guy. I I they don't see my third line messiness, and I've refined it a lot. You know, Peter in his late 40s is different than Peter in his early 20s. I can tell you that. I mean, I that's what I was saying. I got a lot of good stories about my trial and error experience and breaking things. Getting really messy, agreeing to the projection because I liked how it felt. Oh, wow, you're going to save the day. You're going to take over our ashram. You're going to take over our healing center. You're going to take over, my third line part of me is going, well, sure, why not? I'll try it out. And then, 6 months later, 1 year later, 2 years later, I'm going, yeah, I think I'm ready to break the bond. I'm done. And then disappointing people, shocking people. I've got the 51 in there too. It's like, how dare you, you said you were this, we thought you were this, we thought you were going to do that for us. And wow, so I've been exiled, different times, but it was partly my accountability for that because I agreed to things that I didn't actually have the energy for because I entered into it through the mind.
Yeah. And yeah, did you finish?
Yeah, thank you.
And because it's in your body, could you say that you're like very sexy to people? And I was thinking when you were saying being seductive, and I was like, yeah, you seducted me, all right, wanting to have an interview with you. Yeah, but
Well, definitely. No, no, I can't answer that. I'm not going to answer that. I mean, to me, there's a
why
difference
not?
between seduction. Seduction is different than sexuality.
Yeah,
That's what I would is. Um, uh, I mean, yeah, I'm a 59. There is. This is how I'll answer that. Is there is a sexual energy which probably comes through my aura, and I enjoy it. I'm comfortable with it, but I'm also, um, like I said, I mean, I'm here to learn wisdom around these things. I'm here to trial and error these things, but I've seen what happens when I've, pushed it too far or used it, you know, irresponsibly. So, um, but that's to me, that's any generator in a way, or um, not maybe not any generator, but certain configurations of generators naturally have a sexual energy that comes through. And I think having, you know, but okay, for instance, the 59 is pointed at the solar plexus, which is a young awareness center, which isn't fully developed. So, in my experience of experimenting with intimacy, um, which can also mean uh, using a sensual or sexual energy responsibly as a way to to flirt, to open, to connect. But um you know I think a lot of my life learning in my adult life has been about how to use that energy responsibly, to learn to young awareness. We're learning how, because if you follow that energy when it's on the high point of the wave, once that wave changes, it's like, you know, if you're impulsive with an energy in the moment, you can end up regretting it later. It can make a mess with things. So um, I just don't think our world just yet is equipped to have a mature relationship with sexual energy, you know, because we misinterpret it. We think it means something else. I mean, this is a whole thing that 59s, 59 6s go through. You know, any most women I know who have the 59 6 always think someone's coming on, always have to deal with the projection of thinking people are coming on. People misinterpreting their aura breaking as if they're coming on to them, the other. You know, and so yeah, we're I mean, I was just thinking about it this morning. It's like this world is very yeah, we're not there yet. People, you go to other cultures and people lose their shit over sexual, you know, if a woman is wearing, you know, revealing clothing, then I mean, I go to India. People will lose their shit if they see a woman scantily dressed, you know, and then they'll act completely inappropriate. So anyway, I'm kind of going off with that, but I enjoy um, using sexual energy as a way to communicate in a way, as a way to connect, and as long as we have yeah, awareness, communication, you know, to have a good relationship to it, then we can enjoy it. But a lot of times I've held that back because it does get misinterpreted, or what might feel good in one moment, once the wave changes, it you know, making sense of the past. People make sense of the past and turn things into something else. So um, yeah, it's a beautiful experiment to play with and to enjoy and to yeah. And in a way, let I'm glad I'm married. Let's put it that way, because I think it allows people to trust me in with some of the things I do. And just to say it bluntly, I mean, you know, with medicine work, you know, it's very intimate. People open up, and there's been a lot of corruption, a lot of abuse of power by facilitators, by gurus, you know, a shockingly amount of misuse of power. People are still working out power issues, and so I think just knowing that I'm in a committed monogamous relationship at this point, I think it almost allows people to feel, or women in particular, to feel like they can feel safe.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's where you were going with that question, but I mean, I think about these things a lot, and over the years, and I love to talk about it. Um, it's fun. It's fun to talk about.
Actually, when we talk about sexual energy, this is also our creative energy, and according to Tao, it's the only energy you can actually transform back in um, living energy, so that you feed your life force, because we're born with this basic energy that when it exhausts, life finishes, according to Taoism. But sexual or creative energy is the only one which you can actually multiply and transform back to your life energy. And I really loved what you said that maybe all generators are seductive in a way. I don't know if that's what you said, but that's what I heard. And actually, I agree with you because the open aura, it's like a magnet, like you attract. And in a way, that's a seduction, especially for non-energy types and with their open sacral, they can get super addicted to this juicy, sweet generator energy. Yeah. So yeah, in a way, we're all generators are in a way seductive.
Yeah, I mean, I see it as the sacral center correlates with the reproductive organs. So there's there's just a built-in, that's what that literally is why we're called generators. It
Yeah.
is literally referring to the sacral. We're always creating life force energy, whether it's sexual or creative. It's literally coming out of our aura.
Yeah. I have one more question to you, which just came to me while we were talking about how like human design in a way helps you take things not so seriously and that you're not here to be friends with everybody and so on. And I was thinking, do you think that people who are into human design, um, it's a duality? So I see it like there is a certain arrogance to that, you know. I'm myself, I am here for me, and at the same time, certain humility, like because when you start accepting yourself for who you are with all your, you know, moral good and bad things, challenges and gifts,
Mm-hmm.
there is more space to also accept the other the way they are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I get the essence of your question. You know, most of my friends aren't human design geeks. Most like the people who are I spend most of my intimate time with, I've done their reading. We talk about human design, but they're not geeks like we are. And I don't know why that is. It's just I find a lot maybe a way to talk about what you're saying is it's easy for it to become mental. It just to it gets mental. I mean, I don't know how many people I've met, and they I meet them and they think I'm into human design, and the first thing they tell me is, "Oh my, my design Venus is in the 32.5, and oh man, what a day!" And I'm going, "What the hell are you even? What are you even talking about?" I just don't even like. Tell me about your life. Tell me about what you're going through. And then we can look at it in your design. But when people just make it, and maybe that works for some people, but when they're starting to speak in code and it doesn't have anything to do with, well, you're a human. This is human design, you know. Um, tell me about that's where I feel like I don't always resonate, where it just gets very mental. One of the metaphors I like to use is, if think of human design, the knowledge, there's the knowledge and there's living it. The knowledge is like a hardware store. You can go into the hardware store, you can know what's on every aisle, you can have access to all of it, but if you don't go out and build it, who cares? I don't want to hang out in Home Depot all day. I want to go and take something, I don't have to take something from every aisle either. I can I maybe I'm just into the plumbing and go out and build something with the plumbing and make it happen and enjoy it and live it and then feel the water coming on my face and enjoy it. And then I don't even care about, what aisle it was in and how it related to so you get my analogy there. But um people get really caught up in the knowledge, and to me that ends up being kind of boring. So um I want to hang out with cool people who are fun to be around. And when it gets really whatever, I'm not trying to pick on anyone or anything, but I think that's kind of maybe what you're saying is, yeah, you understand the mechanics, but then you can get really mental about the mechanics. So yeah, you can be, in some ways, it's easy to talk to other human designers because you're speaking your own this language together, and it's fascinating. We're even though we're like several generations into human design, human design, if it was a human being, hasn't even lived a full life cycle yet. It's only been around for what, 40 something years. It's nothing. So we're all still kind of babies in this, learning how to speak it, learning to experiment with it. And I guess to reframe what I was just saying, I just think it's really cool that there that human design has taken off as much as it has, and that there's so many people so into it and living in their own little human design worlds with their own little human design networks. I mean, I live in Denver, Colorado. It's pretty popular around here. I remember one time I was uh, sitting with my wife eating a meal kind of on a patio at a restaurant, and we saw someone in the parking lot, and they're on the phone. They were talking about, oh, I'm just having like a total projector day, and man, no one's recognizing me, and I'm just going, it's cool. So there it is. I think we just have to almost have compassion for ourselves, because we're all just one step ahead or behind or whatever. No one's what, like you said, almost the longer you're, it's like this, the more you know, the less you know. The more you're
Yeah.
in it, you come back to this simple. And I think human nature is to kind of, which we need to be humble about, is, yeah, we tend to think, oh, I've figured this out, and they haven't figured it out. And I think we just have to be really careful with that. And it just happens sometimes. Sometimes it can be like, oh, they're so unaware. But we can't blame anyone for that, and we can't think of them as less. And everyone has a story, whether they're into human design or not, everyone has a story. And so I think it's really important to just stay open to, you know, people have, just because they're not self doesn't mean that they're, you know, if they were into human design, that they would be this glorious ascended master being. No, your life probably wouldn't even look a whole lot different. You just are a little bit cleaner in your interactions. You don't hold on to things as much. You let everyone be who they are. And I think I have to keep reminding myself to that. When I find myself getting caught up in, oh, this person isn't acknowledging Ra, and this, and they're, whatever. I'm like, am I even here to care about that? Who cares? Human design is about transformation, one person at a time. What are you here to be into? And it's just, but that's just the homogenized world. We get sucked into it. We get sucked into thinking we have to care. We have to change everyone else's mind. We have to, um, you know, tell everyone what to think, how to feel. And, you know, who cares? Take care of yourself. It's this, I was I went to go see, like, kind of coming full circle. I'm still friends with, Tom Pfeiffer, my original analyst and mentor. And I went up there a few months ago, and I was going, well, what do you think about Richard Rudd? He doesn't acknowledge, human design and raw woohoo and all this stuff. And Tom just kind of looked at me and he went, and you know what? I was like, oh yeah, who fucking cares? You know? And so, and I've kind of, that's kind of my new mantra. um, and I don't mean that in like I still care. I'm a caring person, but what am I here to care about? And how much stuff takes us away from what's really important. And there's just so much distraction out there in the world. There's so much, it's hard for people to go within. And that's also why I come in full circle here too, is why I do like the medicine work, is it gets people out of their mind. It gives them that breakthrough that they can't always let go of with the mind. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, especially when somebody judges like, oh, you're being not self right now. Is you don't know. Only the person knows for themselves. Like I call it the HD, the human design police, you know?
For
Like, are
sure.
you yourself or you're not? Only you know, actually. Well, that was very fun talking to you, Peter. And actually, do you mind, like, for the last minute or something, that we put your chart up? So, we present, somebody called it, may I see your HD ID?
I call it my nude pics.
Your
Um,
what?
naked pictures, nude
Ah,
pics.
nude pics. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah. Let's
Yeah, give
seduce
me
them
one.
with your nude pic then.
All right, everyone, get ready. Um, Give me 2 seconds here. Here we go. All right. Here's my design. So yeah, I unconscious 3420. Channel of rhythm is my only conscious channel. 59 sun, 57, 51 nodes, kind of built to meet that uh, shock of what's going on in the world. Um, a lot of individuality here, a lot of integration, individuality, but um, in recent years, I've had to really recognize that I'm deeply tribal as well. 59, um, channel transformation. I so as much as I like to give, I like to receive too. I like to have a balance in my relationships that feel good. And so um I think one thing we were briefly talking about before we hit record is, it's like we're weaving out relationships that don't really serve us right now. And I'm really choosing to enjoy relationships with um friends, family, colleagues, students, whoever it is, where it feels good, where it feels like we're both, even though in a professional way it might be giving, like there's some good exchange of energy, reciprocity. So, um, yeah, anything you'd like to point out or see in the chart there? Yeah, I mean, this
Uh,
I deal with my solar plexus every day. I catch my open heart center all the time. I mean, I still I'm still working with my open centers here, 16 years into this, but it evolves as we mature and evolve and go through these cycles. Um, we see different things. We take things in differently. So naturally, we always learn about our openness. It's not something you fix and then it's done. It's always evolving as we change and take things in differently as our chemistry changes.
well, guys, if you resonate to Peter and now you also saw his human design ID, Um, Peter, is there something you want to invite people to? Do you have some courses going on, or maybe not only human design related? I know you do sound baths and other stuff.
Mhm. I yeah, I do some live music in the Colorado area. I do retreats, with the medicine work. If that's something that interests people, reach out and we can figure out how to make that work if it's something you would travel for. But in terms of classes and readings, um, I mean, I love doing readings and consult and even just doing consultations. So even if you're deep into your design, I just love doing consultations and just meeting you in the moment, whatever's going on. Sometimes those are the most profound sessions. I do have a platform that I've started called Human Design Evolution. It's on a school, SKOOL group. And so we're having some conversations there, and I'm trying to make it a really authentic place for people to talk about what they're going through in these transitioning times. It's a very small membership fee for that. But so we can maybe put that in
Yeah,
your link or whatever.
in the
And
description. Yeah.
then I do have, so through that platform, I have a bunch of classes that are more original content. Um, I've uploaded all my foundation courses onto there. I'll be doing a live rave cartography in the fall. I'll be doing a live living your design guide training in the fall. So I've got a lot of stuff. Or if you just go to my main website, it's just my name, peterberv.com. It's got all my calendar there, all my classes and courses and offerings on all the things. And then I'm a musician too. If you want to hear my music, a lot of it's instrumental, meditative, kind of transformational meditative music, or some of it's medicine music with words. That's all on my um, all the streaming sites under my name, Peter Berv. YouTube, Apple, Spotify. It's all there. So you can check out my vibration there. Or if you want to come to Denver and come get a massage, I'm doing it almost 30 years, and I got magic hands. So um, other than that, it's
Yeah.
um, that's the full package right there. So thank
Yay.
you so much, opportunity in this time. This was really fun, and I appreciate the penetrating questions.
Well, thank you for all the time you spent with me and eventually with the people who will who will get this interview on their path. I hope we were practical and giving, it was a lot of fun talking, but I think there were also some quite good points there. And yeah, is, are there any final words you want to say? I'm gonna put all your
Uh,
details under, so if
yeah,
people want to
no,
reach you.
if people feel a resonance, if you like my voice, if you like what you felt here, I'm very, like I said, I'm a 59. I'm intimate. Reach out, let's connect, and I'm here for it. I love it.
Amazing. Okay, well, let's put an end on it. And if you want more, you know where to find more. Bye for now.
Uh, let's see, how do I stop this?